Generation Alpha? More like Generation Beta! No. Okay, seriously. It is a time-honored tradition to mock each new generation. Like millennials with their mom jeans and avocado toast, Gen Z with their pronouns and TikTok dances, and Gen X with, oh yeah, nobody cares about Gen X. And now it's Generation Alpha's turn, and I have to hand it to them. Pretty ballsy calling themselves Alpha, considering there is literally nothing alpha about throwing a tantrum anytime their iPad gets taken away.
These iPad kids getting out of control.
Now people are coming out in tropes about how this new generation is the worst one yet. But don't they say that about every new generation? They said that about millennials, they said that about Gen Z, and look, we're all doing okay. So today I want to find out if this is true, or are we just all being a little dramatic? Now, since the oldest Generation Alpha kid right now is 14 years old, we can't entirely blame them for their bad behavior, but we can blame the parents. Now, who are the parents of Generation Alpha? Well, they are the millennials born between 1981 and 1996. And Gen Z, in particular, seem to have a huge problem with their parenting style. Or I guess, lack thereof?
I need to ask millennials, why are your kids so awful?
I don't have kids, but I get to work with yours. And let me tell you,
having to teach and work with you guys as children has been the most traumatic experience of my life.
The typical millennial parenting style involves using the infamous iPad as the default babysitter. This creates kids so attached to their little devices that people have started calling them iPad kids. These children have no restrictions on their screen time and need constant digital stimulation, even in fancy restaurants. If I didn't participate in family dinner conversation every single night, I would get the belt. But kids today can just zone out on their screens during family time, and it's okay. I don't know if I'm like scared or jealous. Okay, but to be fair, even I can't sit through lunch without my iPad these days, and I have to have like a show or a video like loaded before I even take a bite. So I can't entirely blame the kids for being addicted. I mean, all those apps are designed to literally keep you hooked for hours. No wonder these kids can't put those devices away. This is actually an example of something called nature deficit disorder. Oh my God! Also, this is Edgar, my new kitty cat. He's a 12-year-old old man, boy, and he's just come out. Hi! He's been hiding for 2 days straight because he's scared, but now he's coming out! Edgar, let's go! Anyway, this is an example of something called nature deficit disorder by Richard Louv.
We're creating environments for kids at school and at home in which they are using fewer and fewer of their senses, that they're down to a couple senses, staring at that screen, using their ears and mainly their eyes to allegedly go anywhere in the world through the internet. We're creating an environment in which I believe, by definition, they are less alive. What parent wants their child to be less alive?
Back in my day, when the dinosaurs still walked, my only entertainment was either the family TV or the family computer that was shared between like 6 different people. We had to get creative because nobody was handing iPhone Pro Maxes to 6-year-olds. And I think I got my first iPhone at 16, but before then I had flip phones and, normal phones that, didn't have anything on them. The only game that we had on there was the little snake game. If you know, you know. We didn't have endless, mindless entertainment fed to us on a silver platter. No, we had to just watch whatever was on TV. And sure, TV was sort of mindless too, but nothing like we have today.
You know how I know we have screwed up Gen Alpha? I can't even sit and watch a movie. Do you remember as a kid, if you're as old as I am, I'm pretty old, and your teacher rolled in the TV cart, you know the cart I'm talking about, and how excited you were, even if it was an educational movie? If you are a parent like I am, stop handing your kids unregulated tablets and phones. Why are you giving your 4th grader a phone? We're gonna pay for it later with their rewired brains.
When I tell you there was no greater day on earth than movie day, I mean it, okay? And I remember we did not care if it was a movie about the periodic table or a lady giving birth in HD. Yeah, they showed us that, but we didn't care. It was a movie and it meant that we didn't have to read our teacher's awful handwriting off a whiteboard for an hour. But kids today don't even care about TV time, and honestly, why should they? At their snap of their little fingers, they can get their favorite program at the palm of their hand. And as soon as they lose interest in that program, the algorithm hands them something even better. Deadass, the other day, I took away my 8-year-old nephew's iPad for like 24 hours because he was being really naughty. And he was like,
What am I gonna do now?
and I was like, go watch TV or something. He's like,
No, ew, TV is boring. I want my iPad.
TV is boring? What?
Nope, no iPad.
But I want
You can't have the iPad. No! No!
Parents don't realize how addicting iPads are when they give them to their children, and we're seeing it in this young child, unfortunately, right now. And there's a lot to break down in this situation. Like, one, the child can't regulate their emotions without having their iPad. They can't find sensory input from their environment without their iPad. They're in a fight, flight, or freeze mode because they don't have access to their preferred item, and they're acting as if they cannot operate in life without their preferred item, which is very similar to signs of addiction. When you don't have your preferred choice presented, you begin to act like this.
And another thing that drives me absolutely nuts about these little devices is the absolute brain rot content that is being fed to our kids. And just because they are watching YouTube Kids does not mean that they are dodging the weird stuff.
I'm gonna chug, I'm gonna chew, I'm gonna...
Mom, can you come pick me up? I'm scared. When YouTube Kids launched in 2015, it basically nuked childhood entertainment as we once knew it. And I mean, some of the stuff uploaded on there would never, ever, ever make it on TV, okay? Because even if you had like something slightly inappropriate, someone said a little swear word on a kid's show, parents would descend with lawsuits and fines and complaints. But now, kids on YouTube are watching Skibbity Toilet, weird pregnancy videos, and Elsa and Spider-Man kissing. And don't get me started on Cocomelon. Oh my god. Now, anyone who is unfortunate enough to be familiar with the Cocomelon theme song, it is a sound that goes in your ears and down your spine and stays with you till the day that you die. And it's killing the attention spans of our kids.
Somebody just told me about this show called Cocomelon, and apparently for kids it's like crack. So I decided to look into why it might be, and here's just a little example of why it might be. Okay, so this is My Little Pony, just for reference, and I'm going to count as soon as the scene changes, and you'll see how many seconds happens. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, now, so that was, a few seconds, 4 seconds, 5 seconds. Let's see how many seconds it takes for each one of these scenes to change. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1.
So if you're gonna choose to feed your kids YouTube Kids content, choose wisely, okay? Like, actually pay attention to what you're showing your kids. Like, for example, a lot of people have said, Miss Rachel is great.
We decided last week to switch from Cocomelon and started watching Miss Rachel. Usually they sit here like zombies. Miss Rachel has them lit.
Another scary thing about these little devices is the predators. Like, remember when we were kids, it was drilled into us not to talk to strangers, don't get into cars with people you don't know. Well, now the people that our parents warned us about are hidden behind screens. And handing a little kid an iPad who does not understand the dangers of social media is like giving them free access to talk to creeps online. And usually kids won't realize that the person that they're talking to in Roblox chat isn't just another kid, but it's really some dude named Larry who's recently divorced and likes little kids a little too much, okay?
I think social media has to be one of the most dangerous places for kids and teens nowadays. This Dr. Phil video popped up about celebrity catfish scams, and there was this one woman thought she was married to Tyler Perry, and this other woman who thought she was talking to Jeffrey Dean Morgan and sent the person behind the screen $8,000 in gift cards. So if grown adults fall for these catfish scams, don't you think 11, 12-year-olds aren't going to fall for them either? I think they do. And it gets even more dangerous because these predators, they know if they're talking to kids, they're not going to have money. So what do you think they're going to be asking these kids for? Yep, that's right. Social media safety for our kids is very important. I think it should be taught in schools and workshops, and I think parents need to step their game up, monitoring their kids' stuff, talking to their children, because it is a dangerous world in the social media realm. And with social media, there are so many dangers. Cyberbullying, online predators, catfishing, photos getting leaked. I work at a K-8 school and I've worked at a middle school. I've seen all of that happen.
The crazy thing is, I have also seen all of that happen at my schools and more. I mean, I have seen severe catfishing, severe cyberbullying, and photos getting leaked of minors. Yeah, it's bad. And I mean, millennials especially should know how horrific the internet is because we grew up without parental controls on our internet. I mean, I still remember gore popping up on my Facebook feed or my friends showing me the latest terrifying home movie that they found. And a lot of those videos I still scarred in my brain. And God forbid my little nephew stumbles across it because his friend has unrestricted access to the internet.
If you haven't heard of the game Roblox, your kids probably have. And tonight, a warning about the parental and online settings that every parent should hear, as a Spokane child was targeted by a predator online.
The U.S. is seeing a rise in financial sextortion cases targeting thousands of minors.
No matter how tech-savvy your teen may be, data shows the scammers are winning. Money lost by victims under 20 years old grew by 1,100% over the past 5 years.
Another major problem that we need to address is education. It seems like the whole world is in an education crisis right now. Or at least that's what everyone on TikTok is saying. And I believe everything TikTok says.
Young Gen Z teachers are talking about the poor behavior of Gen Alpha students, and some of y'all are finally starting to believe us when it comes to how much we've missed the mark on raising these kids right.
This is my folder of crying teachers, and they are confused and frightened by the behavior of Gen Alpha. They're saying Gen Alpha is defiant, aggressive, disrespectful, and rude.
Lately, teachers on my FYP have all been complaining about how clueless young Gen Z and Gen Alpha are. They've got 7th graders reading at 4th grade level.
Like, I'm not even trying to be funny, but these kids are, I'ma just say this. I teach 7th grade, they are still performing on the 4th grade level.
I teach in Northern Houston, and I teach at one of the more affluent schools. When I tell you that these babies cannot read, they cannot write, and they cannot comprehend, I'm not being funny. I'm being dead serious.
A language arts teacher is considering quitting her job because her 10th grade students don't know how to read. The New Jersey-based teacher shared in her Reddit post that the last couple of years have been very stressful, but the straw that broke the camel's back was realizing that her 10th grade students couldn't read at grade level. In fact, they could barely read at all. They were reading 2nd and 3rd grade level books like Charlotte's Web and Bridge to Terabithia. She turned to other teachers at her school for advice, but it turns out they were dealing with the same thing.
Back in my day, okay, 2nd graders could easily devour a chapter book because, you know, if you were ever bored, your parents would be like, oh, you're bored? Go read a book. And we did. But now, 2nd graders are struggling with Dr. Seuss? Yikes. And sure, there was always a few kids in class who, like, couldn't read good. And if their teacher picked them to read, it was a struggle. And now I feel like more than ever, we need Derek Zoolander's Center for Kids Who Can't Read Good.
I give you the Derek Zoolander Center for Kids Who Can't Read Good.
The perfect example of how much we're truly failing the next generation can be seen in this insane Twitter post of an 8th grade student's spelling. Let's just try to read the right side first and try to guess like what words they were actually trying to spell. Deschauffred. Deschauffred. Expect. I know that one. Rager. Mr. Bliss. Comment? Were they trying to say comment? Eunuch. Don't know. Rec knees. Particular. I got that one. Popsicle? Were they trying to spell popsicle? No idea. Use plitch. UC plitch? All right, let's see. Discovery. Where did the F come from? Expect. That one was good. Regular. Rager. Not even close. Memorize. Mr. Bliss? How is Mr. Bliss memorize? Commitment. Comet. Unique. Eunuch. I'll give him that one. Recognized. Rec knees. Particular. Particular. Specifically. Psicle. Accomplish. UC plitch. Euclid. What? Oh my god, what? I don't even know what was going through their head. I don't even think we got half of the letters correct. Boy, send them back to like kindergarten, because I don't think they even know letters. This is alarming. Now, looking at this, it's like no wonder teachers are quitting at alarming rates.
I quit teaching. I'm not sure if, for those of you who are not in education, are aware of what's happening in schools, but it's not easy. I don't think people truly understand what teachers are going through.
I quit education 2 years ago. I was a teacher for 8 years. I have a master's degree in education. Ultimately, the reasons that I left was because I realized how bad it was getting and that absolutely nobody was doing anything to make it better.
I also feel like people don't talk about this enough because I feel like this is very unique to this generation, and it's the fact that kids these days are actively destroying classrooms, stealing school supplies, and destroying teacher property.
Until today, here's what my classroom looked like. I had some student art here, student energy posters, some stuff on the shelves here of mine, some posters posted from my previous students. And here's what it looks like right now. All the student artwork that I cared about, the student-made posters. I'm about to take down the meme wall because I like those. I have my desk lease taped off. This is the plant that somebody stabbed and I had to repot. I have all my student artwork in here. I have all of my wall art, and it's about to go in this closet with all my extra stuff that is going to be taped off. And now it's taped off. My kids have been touching, destroying, stealing basically anything in my room to the point where all of my supplies that I need to do my job I've had to replace several times over. So I'm planning on finding something for my desk supplies. I'm going Spartan in this room. Nothing I care about is going to be available to them. I'm going to be taking things home. And that sucks because I loved the way this room looked. I loved that it brought me joy seeing every day when I walked in. It was something I was proud about making, and I had to choose to take it and hide it away before someone could take it away from me. Continue to take things off the wall, to tear them in bits, right? Steal them, and I'd never see it again.
Now, I am like baffled how this is a thing now, okay? Because I have never had anyone destroy like school property or like destroy a classroom in my time at school, and I've been to 5 different schools across 2 different countries, okay? Ukraine and Australia. Neither of those places had these problems. So how is this a thing? Like, where are the parents? Are they not disciplining the kids? Are they not punishing the kids? Because the teachers can't punish them, okay? We got rid of classroom spanking a long time ago. Is it time to bring it back, you guys? Bring back the paddle.
Hey, I'm using this comment to reply just because it was the first one that popped up, but the amount of teachers from pre-K through seniors in high school that are having this same issue is just unreal. I mean, every day the comments are just coming in. And here's Exhibit A. This is what we're talking about. Like, I have had flexible seating in my classroom for the past 7 years. I had 3 ball seats that have lasted 4 years. That was my last one this year. That's the last one. They've popped the rest of them. Same with my wobble stools. The wobble stools I've had for 6 or 7 years, and they broke them. Just straight up broke them. It's hard to see, but like cracked them. The biggest issue for me is that there's no remorse. When it happens, they act like I should replace it. But as you can see, I'm not. because now that that is popped, it's replaced with a normal seat. And I know I'm not the only teacher who has visuals, who sets explicit instructions, who reviews expectations, who does that over and over and over again. But what point are we going to hold the kids accountable? Because, I mean, if they were to do something like this to an expensive piece of furniture in their home, what if they did this to a dining room table? I would hope that the parents would have some sort of consequence for them at home, right? But instead, I just feel like teachers are blamed for everything that's happening in the classroom. It's because my classroom management isn't strong enough. It's because I don't have consequences set in place. It's because I'm not monitoring them. But at what point are the kids expected to be held responsible for their actions? At what point do we teach them to have remorse when they do something wrong? Yes, to learn from that mistake, but also to be sorry about it, because it is hurting someone. It's hurting their teacher.
I also really believe that teachers have the most important job in the world, because I personally could not deal with these kids on a daily basis. So teachers, as corny as it sounds, you're the real superheroes. You're amazing. And I'm actually super embarrassed about the fact that I was a very disruptive kid. I would talk a lot, I would talk back, and I would get kicked out of classroom all of the time. And I'm pretty sure I was responsible for more than one teacher considering a career change. Especially you, Mr. Gibbs.
You honestly believe that these teachers are quitting their job 2 weeks into the school year because they're not getting paid enough, or because the politics that they're dealing with from outside of the classroom is too much to handle? No, that's not the reason. The reason why they're quitting is because these kids are mean, and they're making the classroom a war zone, and they're getting zero support from parents at home and from admin on their campus.
I think people genuinely forget that teachers are the last line of defense between those kids and the rest of the world. They're the ones equipping Gen Alpha with the skills that they need for the future, but if they are quitting, what hope do they have? How are they gonna function in their future jobs? How are they gonna function when they're unleashed upon us, all of us? And let's not forget, the first wave of Generation Alpha is actually starting to enter the workforce, and you can already spot them by their signature blue light stare.
I had a Gen Alpha kid as my server the other day, and this is how it went. Hi, sit wherever you want. Hey, how's it going? Are you ready to order? Yeah, can I get the chicken pad thai, please?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Excuse me, can we get some silverware, please? Thanks.
Thanks.
Now, I will say that millennial parents haven't completely dropped the ball. In fact, Generation Alpha is actually shaping up to be the most emotionally mature generations that we have raised so far. Somehow these little monsters of chaos are good at conflict resolution. Let's go.
Listen, as a teacher in 2023, I would just like to discuss Gen Alpha for a second. And no, I'm not talking about the whole iPad kid thing. That's a completely different discussion. What I want to talk about specifically is the emotional intelligence that some of these kids have, right? I feel like they're being raised by a generation of parents that just have been to therapy, are breaking those generational trauma cycles, ending it with them. And it really shows in some of these kids. Just the other day, two of my students were having an argument, right? And before I could even step up and intervene, kid one turns to kid two and just goes, listen, it sounds like you've got a lot going on, and I feel like maybe you're putting some of that on me, and I don't think we should have this discussion until we can both be calm about it. So let's just take a break, and we'll come back and we'll talk about it later. And they're 10. They're 10 and 11 years old in my class. And the way that they handled that was amazing. You know what 10-year-old me would have done? Cried. And then went and told the teacher. What are they feeding these kids?
After completely dogpiling on millennials, I do want to cut them some slack, because the world isn't black and white, okay? And I don't believe that every single millennial parent is relying on iPads because of laziness or neglect, because a big part of it is isolation. Millennial parents are actually the most isolated generation of parents in history. Back in the day, kids were raised by entire villages with the help of grandmas, aunts, uncles, siblings, neighbors. But now, thanks to Corona Macaroni and a bit of social anxiety, parents are left to raise their kids on their own 24/7, 365. All this while trying to make ends meet in a not so family-friendly society. In the US, there's only 6 weeks of postpartum leave. So you pop out that baby, you better be ready in a little over a month. And let's not forget, healthcare costs are through the roof. Rent is insane, and childcare is a luxury most cannot afford. And when emergencies come up, those parents don't have the same support system, okay? So they can't call up someone and say, hey, can you take Timmy for an hour? I have a job interview or a meeting. So the iPad becomes like almost like a default babysitter. So the issue is just way bigger than kids just having iPads, okay? It starts with a social change. You know that saying, it takes a village? I mean, it's not wrong. It's a community effort to raise kids. And I don't fully agree with the idea that iPads are the devil. Like, in moderation, with parental controls, a lot of them, and the right apps, the right tools, Generation Alpha will outperform us on every single level.
Do not, under any circumstances, give them access to an iPad.
I don't agree with this. I don't think it's the access to an iPad. I think it's the access to particular apps on an iPad. Like, if you give your kids an iPad with YouTube on it, and you give your kids an iPad with Roblox on it, of course it's going to melt their brain. But if you give kids an iPad with Procreate on it, they're going to do shit that you didn't even know was possible. I have Procreate on my son's iPad. I gave it to him, and within 2 weeks, he had learned how to animate in Procreate, which isn't really a thing you're supposed to be able to do. He took a video, somehow figured out how to load it as individual frames, somehow figured out how to draw over those individual frames, and then somehow figured out how to play those individual frames in sequence, all in Procreate, which again, I didn't know was possible. If you give children access to quality technology, they will learn. They will teach you. If you give them junk, you will get junk out.
So is Generation Alpha doomed? No, but they could be if we don't start supporting young families and updating outdated education systems. It also might look like introducing more technology in the classroom to keep kids engaged, like Subway Surfers on the second board.
Watch me teach English grammar to students with Subway Surfers gameplay in the background. Today the students weren't on their phones, distracted. They were listening to me and watching the screen. Only complaint was that the person playing was bad.
Yeah, I don't know about that one yet. Well, I hope you enjoyed it. Also, don't forget to subscribe to my second channel where I upload vlogs. The vlog of me adopting Edgar will be up soon. I just uploaded my assumptions about me video. And also become part of my Discord community. Link down below. We have an amazing community of people. We chat all the time. I'm on there literally daily. And if you have any suggestions for videos, that's where you can put them. I love you. Bye.